Hi, I'm Ardith. Lately, I've been hearing a lot of you say that you really want to use and get value from what you already have, rather than feeling like you have to buy all the latest and greatest stuff in the new releases. It's okay to buy if it makes you happy, and it's okay not to buy as well. There's lots of psychology that goes into purchasing decisions, and we all need to find our own balance. You know I'm on design teams, and let's face it, when I'm showing off new products, part of the job is to sell them. I'm not here to tell you to buy or not to buy. What I am here to tell you is that you don't always need to buy. If you have a reasonable craft stash, you can use it, your good brain, and some limes to get the look of any card that inspires you. Let me show you. First, let's review my limes methodology. List the key elements of your inspiration. Whether it's a card with new product or old product that you don't have, or something that isn't even a card. The key elements usually include colors, themes, shapes, techniques, and things like that. Decide which elements you'll include. Decide which elements you'll modify. Decide what to exclude. And add your own spin if you want. If you don't want to, it's okay to leave out the S and use only one lime. Let's see how it works. I'm actually going to case myself. Last week I made a video showing how you can really get value from this Pretty Pink Posh birthday cake cover plate die by using it to make 6 different cards. The die sold out, so I thought it would be fun to see if I could get the look of this card without using any of the products from that new release. And that's something else to remember. Sometimes even when we want to buy something, we can't find it in our country or it's out of stock. There's all sorts of reasons why having the ability to get the same look is a smart skill to have. Now let's limes this baby. First, there's the colors. Pink, yellow, periwinkle, the brown of the cake, the silver of the cake stand. I find that the best visual link to an inspiration is the colors, and so I almost always include most of the colors, but it's not always necessary. Next, there's a die-cut birthday cake. It has dark brown icing on it and a stenciled texture on the side. There are 3 balloons with strings. There's a confetti background created with a layered stencil set. And I used an inlaid die cut technique. And this card is A2 size. To case this card, the first thing I did was go to my Evernote app. This is where I keep track of all my stamps and dies. It's easy and quick to find things based on the tags I've assigned to them. So first, I type birthday cake in the search bar. Any stamp or die set that I've tagged with birthday cake comes up, and I can scroll through to decide which one best suits my purpose. I think this retired MFT layered cake is perfect. It has layers, and icing, candles, and a cake stand, so there's lots of potential for getting a similar look. Now I do the same for the balloons, and I quickly settle on a balloon from a Concord and 9th set. I'm not worried about mixing companies. In fact, I think that's part of the fun, seeing how all the things I have can work together in ways that the designers probably didn't envision when they were creating them. For my background, I'll use this Concord and 9th Polka Dots Turnabout stamp. It'll give me a similar look to the stenciled confetti background on the original, and it'll be easy to get a random mix of colors. I start by putting the Turnabout jig in the corner of my MISTI, and I line up my cardstock on the markings so I know it's centered. Then I stamp the 3 colors, starting with the lightest color first, so that if my stamp doesn't get completely clean, I won't have a problem with the next color. Since the inks I used in last week's video are also brand new, I'm staying true to my little experiment here by trying to find close matches. There are 4 turns on this stamp, but the pattern is so versatile it works with any number of turns, and I'll leave it here with a bit of extra white space rather than introduce a new color. Next, I cut and colored the die cuts. On the original card, I ink blended the pieces, and I decided to use my Copics for this card, again in similar but not identical colors. I started with the balloons, using 3 colors on each to create some shading and the look of round dimension. Then I moved on to the cake layers. Since I have way more markers than ink colors, I was able to choose a warmer brown color, and again I used 3 shades to give the look of dimension. I kept the little dots from the center layer and I colored them with the 3 balloon colors. And then it was time to start assembling. To put the icing on the cake, so to speak, I used some liquid glue. I used Nuvo Deluxe liquid adhesive, and here's a little tip. This bottle comes with a little plastic jewel on the top. I removed it, and that gave me a nice big flat surface so I can stand the glue up. This is great since I'm down to the second half of the bottle, and I can save time by having the glue right up by the tip, ready to go. For the smaller cake layer, I added a second die cut of icing and I just trimmed off the extra. And for that center layer, I inlaid all those little dots back into their holes by putting a trimmed down piece of clear tape behind the cake and then putting each dot in with my jewel picker. I also colored the candles in the little tiny flames with my markers. To assemble the card, I trimmed my dot panel down to a 3 3/4 inch square and I glued it to a 4 1/4 inch square card base, which is my favorite format. I love the modern look of a square card, and this size fits into a regular A2 envelope, so there's no need for extra postage. I glued the balloons directly to the card in the same arrangement as the original card. And then I added foam tape to the back of each cake layer. This will help the cake stand out and really draw attention. For the cake plate, I cut a second one from silver cardstock, and I stacked it with the white one I had cut with everything else to give it a bit of dimension. I put a candle in place at the top so I could get the spacing of the cake layers correct, and then I used liquid glue for 3 of the candles. I'd like to say it was my plan to stay consistent with the inspiration card, but the truth is I lost one. At first I was planning to exclude the balloon strings. I felt like the outlines from the Concord and 9th dies were too thick for this, but I also felt like it was weird to just have the balloons hanging there. Then I realized there's a swirl die in the cake set, so I cut 2 of those. I used one on the left side, and I cut the other one not quite in half, and I put those 2 pieces on the right side. Now let's evaluate this. I included the colors, the cake, the balloons, a silver cake stand, 3 candles, the balloon strings, and a little bit of inlaid die cutting. I modified the card format, and I used dots instead of confetti on the background. I excluded any use of stencils, including the texture on the cake. And I don't know if I really added much of my own spin, but I guess my signature square card format might count. I have put a supply list in the description below, but some of these products are retired, and hey, that's the whole point, right? If you want to make a similar card, why not see what you have that will work? Limes works for everything. A card with new products, or old products that you don't have, or any inspiration that you may find. It's really just a way of systematically analyzing what attracted you to the inspiration and then deciding how to translate it into something that's truly your own. Whether you use my method or develop your own, you'll quickly realize that if you can get the look, maybe you don't need the exact products. And you'll feel like a creative genius too. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.